I want you to tell me a couple of your favorite childhood stories.
Okay. One thing, I grew up with 8 brothers and 2 sisters, and we had to make our own fun. And one thing that I loved is down below our house was a big bluff, and it had grapevines growing out of the tree. We'd cut them grapevines off and swing out and drop off in a pool of water, clothes and all, you know, and we'd swim out because it's real deep. And that was our summer fun. When it's hot in the summertime, and you work in the field all day, and you're all hot and everything, you run down there to that bluff, you grab that buck vine and you swing out and go into that good cool water. It feels wonderful.
What else did you guys do for fun?
Well, we played ball, and we had a ball game, and the girls was on it just the same as the boys. And some of us girls could beat the boys at batting. We could knock the ball a lot further than some of the boys. And so we had it was co-ed, and it's girls and boys played on it. My dad was a referee on it, he was coach. I guess you'd call him the coach and referee, and so, and we had square dances in our house, and our dad would clean out our living room, would move all the furniture into the bedroom and everything, and they had square dances when I was growing up, and they'd have different fiddlers and things come, and they had a ball. Everybody had a ball that way.
How'd you keep all your brothers straight if you had 8 of them?
Well, I'm the middle one in my family, so the older brothers respected us girls. And I don't know, and my older brother, Hobart, was real protective of us girls. And if the other older boys got out of the way, we went to him, and he straightened them out. Because he was a very husky type brother.
Well, what else did you guys do as kids? Because I know you guys had to get in trouble with that many of you running around.
Oh yeah, naturally.
Well, what'd you guys do to get in trouble?
Oh my gosh. What didn't we do? It would have been more easier to answer. We didn't dare steal. If we stole, you know what our dad made us do? Go back into that store, take whatever it was we got, and tell that person that we got it. And apologize to him. And I guarantee you don't take something but one time when you have to do that.
Broke you guys of it, huh?
You ain't kidding.
Well, who was the worst of your siblings about fighting with the rest of them and poking the others?
Oh shoot, we was all.
You guys were all just as bad.
Yeah,
Huh?
this. We loved to tease and go on at the others. If we could pull something on one of the others,
Well, tell me about flinging taters, because I know you've got a reputation as a tater flinging Newman from Dad. How'd you get that?
Well, my mother. I'll have to tell you about my brother. She told him to do something, and he went down over the hill and climbed up in a tree. And my mother told him to do something, and he said, "Ha ha ha!" I said, "Why don't you make me?" And she picked up a potato that was we always grew a lot of potatoes, and we had them laid out on the back porch, drying and everything. She picked up a potato, stepped off that porch, and whizzed it at him, hit him right in the stomach, and knocked him out of that tree. She went flying off over the hill. She thought she'd killed him, but she hadn't. He was laying down there laughing. And she got on him and just pounded him when she found out she hadn't hurt him.
Well, tell me about meeting Everett. You've told me that before, but tell me again about meeting Everett whenever you guys were fruit picking.
Well, we was out in Washington picking fruit, and every Saturday evening, my dad would let me take the younger kids to the show. And we went to this show and we was watching this Postman. If you ever get a chance to see a movie, the Postman, what the walking postman goes through, it's a funny movie. And we was watching it, and Everett come in and sit down beside me. I'd had my brothers and sisters on the inside of me where I could keep control of them. And he come in and sat down beside of me, and he got so tickled at that movie. I'm telling you, you couldn't help get tickled at him because he got so tickled at watch that movie. If you ever get a chance to see it, I'd guarantee you, you should see it because it is a funny movie.
Well, what happened after the movie?
Well, I got so tickled at him. And so after the movie's over, he looked over at me and he said, "Can I take you home?" And I said, "Yeah, you can take me home." But I said, "If you got enough room to take all these over here?" And he looked over and he said, "Yeah, I got a whole back seat." So he took me home, and come to find out, his mother lived right straight across the cabinet court from us. I met his mother before I met him. And come to find out, she lived, him and his mother and his dad and all lived in this cabin, and we lived over here across the cabinet court from him. And come to find out, I'd met his mother before I met him. So I met my mother-in-law before I met my husband.
Well, how old were you whenever you guys met?
I was 18,
You was 18, huh?
yeah,
How old was Everett?
23, I think.
Well, you guys were old for getting married back then.
Oh, yeah.
So, how long did you guys date before you got married? Did you get married on the fruit picking
2
trip, or did you
months.
wait a little while?
2 months.
2 months. And after that, you was married for. Did you make it to
51
51?
years.
I thought you made it to
We-
50.
We was going on 51 years.
Well, that's an awful long time. Well,
That's
all right.
for
Tell
sure.
tell me the best story from you guys being young and married. Whenever you guys hadn't been married very long, you got to have a humdinger story in there somewhere.
Well, no, not really. Not really. The only thing I can fit is, my husband drank when we first got married. Well, he come in one time, and I was peeling potatoes, and we had 2 little ones. I think we had Lillian and Charlotte, Carol. And I was late getting supper, and he'd been drinking. And he come in, "Why ain't you got my supper ready?" And I said, "Well, it's like this. I've got 2 kids to take care of." And I said, the kids come first, whether you like it or not." And he hauled off and slapped me. And I whirled around that knife. I had my hand stuck in the door facing just as he went out, and it quivered like that. He wasn't gone very long. He come back sober.
Well, all right. Tell me about the kids, because I know your kids had to get in trouble at some point. What's the funniest story from them getting in trouble that you can remember?
Oh, man. Well, Fred was all the time pulling something on the girls.
Yeah.
If he could pull something on them, it was high to his glory. And if he could scare them, it was that much funnier. And one time, he snuck up on Charlotte, and she was laying on the bunk bed, and her shirt slipped up, and he found a big old plastic spider somewhere. And he pitched that, and it landed right square in her stomach. And she threw her book and come off that bunk bed, and she got him down on the floor, and she just beating the tar out of him. And Everett come in, and I said, "Don't say a word, because he deserves every bit of what
he was
he's
getting,
getting."
Well, the girls had to tease each other too, some didn't they?
Oh yeah, they was all the time aggravating each other. They would one of them would get the other's clothes, you know, and sneak them and try to get away with something, especially if they got something new, you know.
Well, looking back over all of it, what was the funniest moment you can remember looking back over your whole life?
Oh, I don't know. A lot of things. A lot of things was neat. I think probably when I had my first kid.
Yeah. Well, I can't remember which one's the oldest. Is that Lil?
Lillian.
Lil's the oldest.
Yeah, Lil's the oldest. Lil, and then Charlotte, and then Carol, and then Charlotte, and then Fred. Fred's the youngest. Probably having the children was the most exciting thing. To know that you have a baby and you're responsible for that baby. And you're going to have to teach it, you know. That's probably the most exciting thing there is when you start having a family.
Well, you weren't nervous having a baby, were you? First
No.
time? No.
No,
I'll
not
say
really.
you kind of had your feet wet on that, helping take
Oh,
care
yeah.
of your kids.
Oh, yeah.
What happened to your mama? Because I remember you telling me that you.
Mom died at childbirth. When my younger brother was born, the only one that she ever went to hospital with, she passed away. She bled to death. She hemorrhaged like I did.
Mm-hmm.
With me, they had got to the point where they could pack you and stop you from hemorrhaging. And I wish they'd knew it with my mother. But I guess they didn't at the time.
So how old were you when she passed?
12,
You was 12. Just old enough to really help, huh?
yeah.
So how old was Pearl? I can't remember. Was she quite a bit older than you?
She's younger than me.
Younger than you. Okay. So you were
Yeah.
the oldest girl, so everything kind
No,
of fell to
Faye's
you.
older than I am.
Faye's older than you. Okay.
Yeah.
So you got to help raise your siblings quite a bit. I bet that was exciting.
Some of the things that they done. Dude.
Did they try to push the line on you and get away with stuff they wouldn't have
Oh, yeah.
otherwise? Well,
Oh, yeah.
what'd they do to try to push the line on you that you can remember?
They'd hide from me.
They'd hide from you.
Oh, yeah.
Well, where were they hiding at?
Climb a tree. Anywhere they could get up, you know, and you'd think they was lost, and you'd yell at them, and first thing you know, if you'll be real quiet, you could hear them snickering.
What is it with your family and climbing trees? I'm noticing a trend of you guys climbing trees to get away.
Oh, it was just part of the living in Arkansas. We're just tree climbers. And did you ever climb a real limber tree? I think it's called elm. I think it is.
I've never been
And
brave
rock
enough.
back and forth. Me and my brother used to climb this tree, and we'd rock back and forth, and the top of this tree broke out, and me and the top of the tree come down right on top of him.
Did he survive?
Are you
Yeah.
having a secret?
Yeah, he survived. Another thing, he loved it. I thought he'd be a pilot when he grew up. You know, he'd tie sheets to his wrists and to his ankles, and he'd climb up in the very top of the barn, just as high as he could jump. And he jumped out, spread his arms, but the sheet didn't catch enough wind, and it just bowed him. And he come down and hit him belly first, knocked all the wind out of him. I run down, turned him over, and he was going.
And which one was that tried
Alfred.
to fly? He
Alfred.
tried to fly, huh?
Yeah, he wanted to fly. And I don't know why he never become a pilot. Because he was all time trying to fly when he was younger.
Oh boy. Well, what sibling tried to push the limits with you the most whenever you were taking care of them?
Probably Clell. Yeah, Clell he's quite a bit younger than me. He's next to, I've got two younger brothers that younger than him, and that's all. He was so stubborn, and if he could get away with something, he tried to.
Tried to push it, huh?
Yeah,
Well, if you had to tell your kids one thing that you wanted them to know, what would you tell them? One thing out of everything in the world you could tell them, what would be the one thing you could tell them?
to love God with all their heart and to live a good Christian life.
That's a good one. That sounds an awful lot like the tail end of Ecclesiastes, doesn't it?
Yeah,
Yeah. All right.
because without God in your life, you have got absolutely nothing. I found that out. Without Him on your side, you have absolutely nothing to live for.
All right.
That's the only thing I could say is to trust in God with all your heart and to live as close to what the Bible says as you possibly can.
I'd say that's good sound advice. All right. I think we're done.
Okay.